Everyone, welcome back to the channel. I have a great video lined up for you. David Schwatz gave this presentation back in Vegas several months ago, but it's filled with just incredible information. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through this chat and I'm going to give you my commentary and we're going to learn a bunch of shit that we maybe didn't know before. That's what we're here to do. We're here to learn and grow in the space. If you feel like you want to support the channel, feel free to become a super subscriber, leave a comment, leave a like, share with someone you know. Let's get into the video, guys. Check it out. We're at this event here. All right, so let's play this. Check us out.
I think a lot of you know my story and the story, my XRP Ledger sort of story and history. I started in November of 2011. This was just about the time where the Bitcoin narrative, some of the very first cracks were starting to show in it. People were starting to talk about limits of scalability, speed, energy consumption, and so on. And I think the other thing that was coming out was that proof of work wasn't going to be this incredible decentralizing force like we thought it was. A lot of you probably don't know this if you haven't been in the space, that long. In the early days, we thought that literally everybody would mine. Like if you interacted with Bitcoin, you would mine. Why wouldn't you? You just make some extra money. Why wouldn't you do it? You could, if you had solar panels and you didn't need the power, you could just mine. What we didn't realize at the time, and it seems so obvious now, is that mining is a perfectly economically competitive enterprise. Whoever has the cheapest power, whoever has the best ASICs, will be able to push everybody out of the field. And those cracks were just starting to show in late 2011. And the writing on the wall was clear that a better alternative was needed. A lot of people at that time really thought proof of work was like Bitcoin's secret sauce. But when we looked at it closely, we realized proof of work is really just how it solves the double spend problem. And there are other
double spend problem. Actually, let me show you this. Double spend problem Bitcoin. Actually, I had this planned out, but I don't know where the thing went. But let me show you this. Check this out. All right, so what is the double spend problem? Okay, and this is what we're all trying to figure out here. All right, so the double spend problem describes the difficulty in ensuring digital money is not easily duplicated. Trusted third parties such as banks prevent double spends by privately verifying each transaction. The Bitcoin network prevents double spends by allowing every member to verify each transaction, okay? And then it talks a little bit about this. Digital objects like files and text are easy to duplicate. With a click of the button or a few keys, any number of files can be copied from one location to another. This makes digital devices very simple to use, very simple and useful for the average user. However, costless duplication is not a desirable trait in money, right? It would not be desirable to have a monetary system which allowed anyone to duplicate their money at will. This is called the double spend problem. How can a receiver of digital money be sure that the money they were sent was not simultaneously sent to somebody else, right? And it says distributed ledger. Bitcoin solves the double spend problem by using a decentralized ledger, which allow all users can access. Because all members of the Bitcoin network can examine the full history of transactions, they can be sure that neither their coins nor any other coins have been double spent. When one user sends Bitcoin to another, they destroy the coin they own and create a new coin owned by the receiver. The destruction of the sender's coin is a record for all to see, so that they can never send it to somebody else. Bitcoin is an open system, meaning that anyone can start using the network without paying entry to the maintenance fee. So that is the double spend problem, and that's what they always are trying to solve when creating a digital currency. They don't want to be able to duplicate it. And then he gets into this chat. He talks about there could be lines of the code in any contract that will allow you to do this, and that's what they are working on behind the scenes to make sure that this never happens. But let me play this for you.
Agreement protocols that have been researched and developed for decades. What we thought was that the secret sauce in Bitcoin was things like the fact that the ledger was public, the fact that there was no central operator, the fact that nobody had the legal right to control and run the system in any particular way, the fact that all transactions are public so that everybody can make sure that the system is following all its rules. So we designed a ledger based on many of those same principles, swapping out proof of work for a federated Byzantine agreement algorithm to produce the XRP Ledger. Didn't call it that then, call it that now. An open,
sorry, I just turned it up for you.
Decentralized, secure, fast, and inexpensive to transact with system that becomes more decentralized over time as participation increases. Whereas we've seen proof of work blockchains have seen the opposite happen as their miners become more consolidated and more similar to each other. So I want to talk about some of the very basic parameters that we put into the XRP Ledger.
So they looked at Bitcoin, right? And they saw that, hey, proof of work maybe wasn't everything that it was made out to be. We need to create something better, faster, more consistent, and easier to use. And that's the vision behind the XRP Ledger. They thought about all of this when creating the XRP Ledger way back in, was it 2011, 2012?
From the very beginning. I think probably one of the best known features is the fast, cheap transactions. You can confirm a transaction with complete finality in about 5 seconds. And your cost is not just less than a penny, but much, much less than a penny. Something like 1,000 transactions for a penny.
1,000 transactions for a penny. That is what they built out. That is the new infrastructure for the world's payment system. That's why all of these central banks want to talk to Ripple, because it's so cheap to send money. And a lot of central banks do a lot of small payments. They do a lot of large payments too, but having the ability to instantly send a small payment for a fraction of a cent is the new system.
And you can do that with extremely high reliability consistently over and over again. I think 99.99% of the time, a transaction will complete within 10 seconds for 20 drops, which is 20 millionths of an XRP, which is an amount of money that is, a very, very, very tiny fraction of it. So what purpose does the XRP Ledger serve? So it does all, the transactions are fast and cheap, but of course, what do the transactions do? Well, the primary function of the XRP Ledger is to be the origin and authoritative registrar of XRP ownership. Just like the Bitcoin blockchain's primary and almost only function is to be the authoritative registrar of Bitcoin, right? What can you do with the Bitcoin blockchain? You can move Bitcoin from one place to another. You can hold it, you can send it, you can receive it. The XRP Ledger does all those things for XRP. If you want to know who holds how much Bitcoin, the blockchain is the sort of authoritative source. Same for the XRP Ledger with XRP. But since 2012, the XRP Ledger has supported what we call issued assets. These are tokens that can reflect stable coins, legal obligations, ICOs, or pretty much anything else. Anything that behaves like currency, anything that has value and that you can sort of, it's fungible. It's not very good for things like concert tickets where you don't want to have 4.007 concert tickets, right? That doesn't make very much sense. But for things that are fungible, these issued assets provide a very nice interface. They've been used for everything from stable coins, ounces of gold, and even in one case, silver dimes. One of the very first gateways that we had
This is cool.
was the silver dime gateway. There was a guy who had a whole bunch of silver dimes, and they're roughly worth their silver value because there's lots and lots of these dimes. And so you could send him cash or silver dimes, and he would issue you an asset on the ledger, and you could redeem that asset with him, and he would mail you silver dimes. And I still have in my desk drawer a little vial of silver dimes that are in my hands because of XRP Ledger transactions that occurred in the very, very earliest days of the ledger. So it's that decentralized asset exchange, that ability to swap. I bought those silver dimes with XRP by swapping so many units of XRP for some number of units of this asset denominated in silver dimes. 2012, so that was the world's first decentralized asset. A major XRP Ledger feature is this decentralized asset exchange integrated into a payment engine that supports cross-currency and cross-asset payments. This is an extremely sophisticated payment engine. Anybody who's developed on it can tell you it's incredibly complex. But the reason for that is to provide this seamless experience where you don't have to think about what asset you're holding and what asset somebody wants to pay. It just works. A year ago, Ripple had a developer demo day that was just purely internal. It was just for our employees to show other people at the company what they developed.
This is really cool, guys. This is kind of the first time David Schwatz brings in what he's kind of built out in the background of being able to swap different currencies on the XRP Ledger. Check this out.
And I demonstrated the payment engine on the XRP Ledger. So I logged into an XRP Ledger account, and I typed in another account, and I said, I want to send them 1 Bitcoin. And it said, you can do that with this many XRP, this many euros, this many US dollars, because I had all of those balances in the account. This was live on the real ledger. And I could push any one of those currencies, and the prices would change in real time as the DEX exchange rates changed. And afterwards, people were so impressed by this demonstration that cross-currency payment flow was so smooth. They're like, what software is this? What have you just shown us? Remember, this was a year ago. And I said, this is the first XRP Ledger wallet from 2014. So this is technology that was 7 years old using the DEX that was built in 2012, and it still to this day is something that the conventional financial system can only provide to like the highest level enterprise customers. It is virtually impossible anywhere in the conventional financial system for you to hold multiple balances in multiple different currencies and then be able to make a seamless payment, paying from the asset of your choice to the asset of your choice. And if you did get that, the fees would be astronomical.
So think about this, guys. Obviously, a lot of bigwigs like Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase, they have all of these different balances on their master accounts in the bank, right? So big banks are able to do all of this, pretty seamlessly. But we're talking about the credit unions. We're talking about the regional banks. We're talking about the smaller guys and the institutions that don't have all of these features. Imagine these banks being able to connect with the XRP Ledger, right? Through Ripple or maybe through other services they build on the XRP Ledger. Remember, it is open source. So that would enable those banks to seamlessly do all of this integration, send cross-border payments for a fraction of the cent, as well as they could use it for domestic payments if they wanted to.
So this is functionality that you just can't find in other places. It just works. And the prices, again, the rates are incredibly cheap. Invariant checking is something that I'm very proud of. Mostly came from Nick Bugalis, who I'm sure many of you have heard of. Great developer, great friend of mine, lives in Las Vegas. And what it does is it allows many kinds of very serious bugs to be caught without corrupting the public ledger.
Here you go.
So if you could imagine hypothetically, let's say there was some bug in the XRP Ledger software that allowed somebody to create XRP. I mean, it's hard to imagine a worse bug, right?
Yep.
And that could happen. There's thousands and thousands of lines of code in the XRP Ledger. Who knows, somewhere in a payment transaction or an account set transaction, there could be a bug that could allow somebody to create XRP. We've audited it, other people have audited it, we hope there isn't, but you're talking about tens or hundreds of thousands of lines of code. It's very hard to be confident, and that code is changing. XLS20D adds functionality. Could it add a bug that creates XRP? We certainly hope.
XLS20D was the being brought onto the ledger, right? And then XLS30D is the automated market makers.
Hope not. We've looked very hard. But the problem is, like, if you ask me, like, how do I know there's no bug like that? And I say, well, go look through these hundreds of thousands of lines of code and you won't find a bug. If you do, let me know, please. Right? That's a deeply unsatisfying answer, right? And that's how many blockchains work. That's how the DAO attack worked, right? The DAO, if you guys remember, there was one of the first DAOs on the Ethereum blockchain. It was called the DAO because it was the first DAO. And it got attacked by someone who found a way to cause the DAO code to do things that people didn't want it to do. And that code was audited, and the auditors missed it because they're human. What invariant checking does is it's a very small piece of code. It's a tiny piece of code that you could realistically audit, right? If I said, here's the 150 lines of code that says thou shalt not create XRP, you could actually audit those lines of code. And we don't change them unless we have really good reason to. And what they do is they look at the consequences of a transaction. So let's say hypothetically, bug in XLS20D, some NFT transaction can create XRP. We certainly hope that's not true, shouldn't be true. But, who knows? We're humans, we make mistakes. After that transaction executed, but before it was applied to the public ledger, the invariant checker will count how much XRP was created by the transaction and how much was destroyed. And there can be some, because a payment that moves XRP from one place to another effectively destroys the XRP at the source and creates XRP at the destination as far as like the math looks. And so you add it all up and you say, did this transaction leave more XRP in the ledger after than before? And if it did, the invariant checker throws that away. It just throws the transaction results away, and it puts an indelible mark in the ledger that says, hey, there was a transaction here that found a way to create XRP. And that XRP never gets created and the public ledger never gets damaged. And this is really massive because it provides a very high level of assurance that these very, very serious bugs corrupt the public ledger.
Guys, if you are liking this, I'm going to do a part 2, a part 3, and maybe a part 4. This is a 43-minute conversation. Maybe I'll do 3 parts, but join the second part. It'll probably be out in a day or 2. We'll go through it. I'll give you my commentary. We'll talk about it. And how good is this education? How are you learning? Did you know any of this really cool things behind the XRP Ledger? I learned several things watching this video, so I'm sure you did too. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe, and feel free to share with somebody you know. If you have a friend or a loved one that likes XRP, guys, this is really good information for them to have. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.